I'm curious to know this too. So I want to talk to Margaret, who's calling in from Colorado. Margaret, you're live on Talk Heathen. What's up?
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I know if it's going pretty good.
Good.
Today, Colorado can't see the mountains from my house, and they're not even 5 miles away.
Oh,
just saying.
Well, that's fun.
Smoke.
That's fun.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, do you want me to ask my question?
Yeah, go for it. What would you like us to answer here?
I want to know if freedom from religion helps with things like I was thought to be the spawn of Satan when I was born. And so I've been affected by that. I have PTSD and DID from it. And I didn't know if freedom from religion kind of would address that or if that's just too weird.
I'm going to jump right in. Let me just make one little clarification, Margaret. Thank you for your call. Freedom from Religion Foundation is another nonprofit, and I know all you're doing is saying the wrong words. Ours is Recovering from Religion. It's a bunch of R's and a bunch of F's, and it's easy to get mixed up. You wouldn't be the first person to do that. So
I have made that mistake before too, and so
I wasn't going to bring that up. So yes, no, what you're experiencing, and I can see little Margaret being a child, being a normal child, and being told in a fundamentalist Christian environment, and I'm making some assumptions, and I could be wrong, that you are evil and that Satan is influencing you. And it breaks my heart to think about you as a child hearing that feedback. And my answer to your question, it is absolutely not unusual for us to take those kinds of calls and chats and conversations. It's so ubiquitous in this religion that's how we deal with things that are normal human parts. It's just the nature of what religion does and how it works. So we would love to talk with you. We'd love for you to share your story with one of our agents about what that must have felt like both as a child and as it surfaces now as an adult. That's what the chat line is for. That's what the hotline, the telephone line is for. And our trained agents are waiting for those calls and chats for 24 hours. So we would love to talk to you. But Margaret, my most important takeaway here, my important point is that wasn't true. You're not a bad person, and Satan wasn't causing you to do those bad things. You were a kid and you were doing kid things, and it might have been exacerbated by the very narrow pathway that was expected of you. That's the one thing religion does. It just confines what's acceptable behavior. And so let me celebrate with you that it sounds like you're out from underneath that, and I hope that you are. And in the event that you still need to talk it through, we would love to have you come join us on the chat or the hotline. So this would be the Recovering from Religion hotline? That's right. And the internet chat is at recoveringfromreligion.org. There's a little green chat bubble on every page of our website. You can just start up a chat. You can be completely anonymous, or you can do a phone call. And that number is 84-I-DOUBT-IT. I don't even have that number memorized to know what the actual numbers are because I just throw it around all the time. 84-I-DOUBT-IT. We would love to either talk with you or chat with you, and then have you join our online community if you still want to have a little bit more support than that. That is not out of line for you to be able to reach out to us and have that conversation. Mm-hmm. Okay, because like I said, I haven't actually met another person with my history, so I wasn't sure if it was common enough to take it. So I appreciate it. Unfortunately, it is common enough, and there are a lot of folks that have, and there are even folks, Margaret, that have been, that have they've done the heavy lifting of discarding the religious beliefs, but they still have some damage that raises its ugly head from time to time in our lives, things that you think you've discarded, things that you think you've dealt with, and you've done all of the work, and you've gotten to this place, and something will pop up out of the blue, unbidden, from nowhere. And so this is a good, safe place for you to come and talk about it. Yeah, because now that I'm older, I thought I dealt with it, and I thought my issues were from the pedophile who lived next door. But no, Yikes. They're from, now that my older people in my life are talking about religion, I just go into a panic inside. And I didn't realize I was so easily triggered. It's
So,
part of it,
anyway,
Margaret.
this,
That's part of it, especially when the damage occurs when you're a young child. So no, not
right.
that is not that unusual, and we would love to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much. I hope both you have a good day. And I didn't say properly hello, and I hope you're doing okay, but I still am. And take care.
Good.
Thank you,
Margaret. Thank you for calling in. Yeah, we're plugging recovery from religion a lot today, but that's great because again, I love what you guys do, and it's important. And in this intersection of mental health and religion is it's a taboo subject for a lot of people. I think it's obvious to a lot of people that religion can be harmful for people. I mean, there's obviously always stories about cults and what that does for people, but like what broad mainstream Christianity can do to people is just a conversation that's really just happening now. I've noticed, in a lot of current news media, and there's always going to be conversation of, okay, what's the right kinds of religion? What's the wrong kinds of religions? I think that's where that conversation usually goes. Whereas we're kind of more on the spectrum of like, well, maybe none of this is a good idea, right? Like therapy is not a Christian institution, like it doesn't have to be in any meaningful sense. So I don't know. It's makes me happy that we're talking about more, but also frustrating that people don't come to the same conclusions I always do on this scale.
Right, and I agree with you that there is a progressive version of this, and that's awesome, and that's better than the fundamentalist version. But even the progressive view of it, I think about it. We're so inured to it because we've been so overexposed to it. But think about the image, even in progressive Christianity, the image of Jesus on the cross, the crucifixion. And if you're 4 and 5 and 6 years old, that is it's so violent and so horrifying and nightmare inducing that we've learned that this is part of it. Jesus is crucified on the cross, say whatever, but for a child processing that and the message underlying that, it is your fault that this happened.
Yes.
And that Jesus suffered this pain for you. That's destructive, and that does cause long-term damage to a child.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was definitely the theology I was taught growing up, this idea that, well, we were born broken and we have to go to Jesus in order to be saved. There's no other way. There is no other way to be a good person. You can do good things, but ultimately you are a sinful being and your sins will not be forgiven until you've surrendered yourself to Jesus Christ. And like that narrative, there's a spectrum of how like violent that imagery is, right? For some people, it's just like, oh, you just say that you're ask for forgiveness and you're good. And the other one is, no, you need to do it for every single time you have a lustful thought. You need to do it for every single time you've told a lie, or every single time you've done, little things in your life that normal people do, or people can't control sometimes. And
as early as Vacation Bible School, the summer camp for children that is in churches, all of the imagery, all of the songs, it's all about the blood. There was a song I remember, the I in the middle of SIN is me. It's all and it's introduced at such a young age that it's and we forget the impact that has on people's long-term lives.
Yeah. And people try to focus too on, well, it's all about Jesus' love for you. It's about, this is a story of love and redemption, not the focus isn't on sin. But like when you're a kid, you fixate on the sin part, because like when you're still trying to figure out the rules on what to do and what not to do, like that's like the most important, right? And when you're told, if you died today, you could go to hell and burn for eternity unless you do this thing, and you don't know any better. That's the scariest thing imaginable, right?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And that's not incidental to the religion. Those kinds of images in the minds of a child. Yeah, it's awful.
Horrifying. It's awful. And in some cases, I think you could argue it's child abuse, but there's a lot of opinions we could both have on this, but we should get to some other callers.